Hey guys, I'm done sharpening the 4Max Scout, and I made 2 videos about it, how I sharpened it on the Work Sharp Precision Adjust. I cut the video, the first part, and then I started refilming when I was done with that. But this video is going to be about stropping. YouTube user Ed asked me if I would make a stropping technique video. And I thought that was a good idea because a lot of my friends actually also told me that I keep mentioning that I can keep this or that knife sharp simply by stropping it. And some people can't do it or don't know how to do it. So this is for those people. It's not really a stropping technique video. I don't think there's a special stropping technique. I don't think there's a special secret. Some people will tell you that you need a special strop, a special stropping compound, a special kind of leather and all that. I don't think you need that. There's nothing, there's no mystery behind this. So I'm going to try to keep things which are important in the first part of the video, and then maybe after the 6-7 minute mark, I'll wander off into my usual territory. But you see, stropping is just sharpening. Stropping compound, this one is Bark River White stropping compound, removes very little material from the edge. So when you're stropping, you're removing very little material. I started here off with 320 grit, then 600, then ceramic, which I think it's about 1500 grit or 1200 grit, and it shaved from the moment I was done with the 600. I could have gotten it to shave at 320. You just have to work a bit more and a bit more careful. I'm not very careful because I think that from a user point of view, a lot of things which people say are true are not. A lot of people say you should use this method or that method, and diamond stones are not good, or only use Japanese water stones to get the best results. And I think that's malarkey. I think that's just, from a user point of view, if you can get your knife sharp and keep it sharp, no matter how you do it, with a leather strop. This one costs almost nothing to make, a piece of wood glue and a piece of decent leather plus some stropping compound. No matter what you use something that's decent. I mean, the Bark River White I like because I have it. I bought a piece about this big back in 2011 and I still have some. That's the one I use. Not that I'm not curious about anything else. But what's the most important thing about stropping? The angle, just like sharpening. In which angle do you strop a blade? Because the leather has a bit of give, so you have to be careful, and you have to, once again, people are trying to make things complicated. It's really not. How do you measure an edge angle? I've answered that question in some comments. That also doesn't matter how many degrees per side I have. So let's take this. I know how many degrees per side I have because I measured it, and later on, because I have some issues, I'm going to calculate it. I've already measured the dimensions using my calipers. It's sort of precise. You can make more measurements and, well, doesn't matter. How do I find out the edge angle in which I want to strop? That's the main question. You have a strop. Get whatever you can afford. If you have a $500 knife, it may make sense for you to have $200 worth of sharpening utensils. If you have a $70 knife, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to have $300 worth of sharpening utensils. Now, does it? It doesn't. So something like this, I mean, you sharpen the knife by hand on a system, whatever. And people are sometimes criticizing sharpening systems, guided sharpening system. You should learn how to sharpen. Doesn't matter how you get your knife sharp. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you have a sharp knife with you. A sharp knife is a safe knife, truly. Or maybe you're a tester like me and you just like to fool around. So, how do I find the edge angle? I've showed this in another video. You lay your blade flat or on the flat of the blade, the main grind, on a piece of flat wood. And then you move it forward. This also says that we have a sharp knife, because I'm not going to be able to strop this knife much sharper than it already is. What I'm doing now is I sharpened it last on the 1500 grit ceramic stone on a system or by hand, and now what I want to do is put it on a 12,000 grit sharpening piece of leather. That's it. So what I need right now, the knife is sharp. Knife already slices paper without any issues, very cleanly. So when I put it on this piece of paper, on this piece of plain wood, I raise the spine and I slightly move the knife forward. It starts catching at some point. See, now it's moving freely, and I raise the spine, and at some point here, it starts catching. This is the edge angle. Here, it starts catching, but it can still slide. It doesn't really stop like this. It starts catching, but it still slides. When you're using a leather strap, I suggest you use this plane of inclination to the strap, this edge angle to strap in. So you measure it here. Oh, there it stops, but it still slides a bit. Transfer that to the strap and do this. For the other side, here, we're still sliding a bit. Yeah, this would be too much. It stops here, it bites in. Here, it's gonna grab a bit. You'll feel it in your hand. It's gonna grab a bit, and you can put this down here. Here. And you transfer this to the strap. Now, after a while, after you've been stropping a while, you will learn how to listen to the sound. And sometimes you'll go from the base to the tip. Sometimes you'll go from the tip to the base. Now, the edge angle does change. You have one edge angle here and another one here. It's because it's a curved blade. This is how you sharpen it on a guided sharpening system. But you learn how to use it for the sound to listen to. The important advice I can give you is don't use a lot of pressure, okay? Now, the strap is very forgiving. If you do use a lot of pressure, you might actually do this. If I press on my palm here, you'll see my skin will curve around the blade. This is what happens here at a different level. So, you don't want to use a lot of pressure. And honestly, if you hit the apex, exactly the apex, doing this a couple of times, let's say 2-3 times per side, should be enough. No more should be required. And then you can remove the excess stropping compound by biting into a piece of wood. And now, of course, it's going to shape because it's shaved before, but yeah, it's taken off hairs. I don't know if you can see it. Let me show you here. I have some hairs here. The light is not helping me out here. Oh, I'm pressing too hard, but I don't want to press very hard. I just want the lightest of touch. Here, I can take off hairs. But it did almost this before I stropped it. So now, I showed how sharp this knife was before I sharpened it in the other videos. It was pretty sharp. It was amazing. Now, OS 10A was pretty abrasion resistant, and it held a great edge. Now, let's say this was it. I mean, this was it. This was the important part. How to find your edge angle. Not where it really grabs, but where it still grabs and still slides a bit. That's the edge angle you want to sharpen at, you want to strop at. Don't use a lot of pressure. And you don't have to overdo it. You can. People will say if you strop it 500 times per side, you will affect edge holding abilities. And you know what? It doesn't matter, really. People get all caught up in this, but actually things. And stay away from that. Mind your own business. I assume I'm talking to people like me, people who like to test knives in everyday scenarios. You get a new knife and you like to see how well it does. And that's how you do it. Now, or just regular people, people who don't even care about what knife they have. They have one knife in their pocket, they put it in their pocket, they take it out when they need to cut something, and at the end of the day, they want to have it sharp for the next day, and they want to just strop it. And I know what edge angle my knife is, this one or this one. I know which angle they are. This is about 15 and this is about 17. And I kind of know where to hit the edge on this by sound. And if I miscalculate it or misjudge it one time, strop is very forgiving. This is why I like strops. Now, let's say you are a pusher. You like to push the blade hard into the strop to remove more metal, to get a better edge or whatever. What you want to do then, I would suggest, is to under aim. And this is a term that, I don't know, I haven't seen this anywhere. I played around with one knife 2 years ago for one entire month. I sharpened it and I used it and I reduced the edge angle. And last year I did it again. And I realized that for maintenance sharpening, and this is also maintenance sharpening, I was under aiming. I was sharpening the knife like you would with an axe on a puck or on a stone, but I didn't move the stone on the knife. I moved the knife on the stone like this. And because I didn't want to keep raising the edge angle, I used to under aim. I knew that I had a ridiculously small edge angle, about 5 or 6 degrees per side, so the blade was almost flat on the stone, and I just needed to raise it just a bit. So I kept under aiming to remove as little material as possible. So this is what you want to do with stropping. If you want to put a lot of pressure, or just drop it, holding the strop in your hand, and I'll explain why. What do we say? Where's the edge angle? Here. This is the edge angle. We're still sliding. Okay, we're still sliding, but it's catching a bit. You can maybe see the wood on the edge right there. So this is the edge angle. And what we're going to do now, if we want to push a bit harder into the leather, I suggest you under aim. So you hold this edge angle, not here where your edge angle is, but a bit under. And then, depending on how soft your leather is, this one's a bit softer, this one's a bit harder, then you can push, okay? And there's movement in your hand here. You're not going to be able to keep this exact edge angle, but sometimes you are going to hit the apex. So, here's a different scenario. You like to strop, holding the strop in your hand, same with the knife. Here, you would be very well advised to also under aim. Why? There's movement in this hand and there's movement in this hand, just basic mechanics. I can't apply pressure here and hold this still, no matter how much I try. It's my hand, I'm not a robot, this is not welded to anything. So, under aim. And you can do this. And sometimes you won't hit the edge, and sometimes you will. But if you under aim, you will hit the edge and you will get some great results, I think. So these were my tricks, tips, what you want to call them. I hope they help you. In the beginning, if you forget, just transfer this. Okay, this is the edge angle, and I'm going to transfer it on a strop. And then do it again. At some point, your hand will get used to it. You will know. And at some point, after you did it for a long time, you will also learn to listen for the sound it makes. Because it makes one sound when you put the flat of the blade or the shoulder on the strop, and it makes a different sound when you strop the edge. And always just cut into a soft piece of wood or soft plastic to remove the stropping compound from your knife's edge. And now, of course, it's slightly sharper than what it was. It shaves slightly better. I don't know if you can see the hairs on it. Maybe on my hand. There you go. Hairs. It shaves slightly better than it did before, and you might be able to keep it 95% as sharp after using it, just using a strop. There's no secret. There's no magical technique. This is it, what I told you here. And the special materials that some people tell you about, I've got into this conversation many times with many people, and a lot of people who really know how to sharpen knives. And I actually bought a knife from somebody who really knew how to sharpen knives, and it was a horrible edge. So I just stopped talking to that person because, yeah, no, don't take advice from people who are trying to sell you something. Just get by with little cost. That's why the main reason why I made this video. There's no secret here. You don't need special sharpening stones. For some steels, maybe. However, even the most abrasion resistant of steels, you will be able to sharpen with little cost. So I did try to keep the most important information in the beginning, which I succeeded in doing. And then the rest was me moving on to different places. As for this knife, it keeps being amazing. Ridiculous, but amazing. And if you, I don't know when I'm going to publish the videos or the other ones before this or after that, it was still paper slicing sharp before I sharpened it. And you can see the grind is not really symmetrical. This side is a bit wider, and I measured this one, it's 1.1 millimeters wide, and this one looks much wider. So yeah, I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions or comments, put them down in the comment section. I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, check out the description. Like I said, I hope you liked the video, and as always, I wish you all a great day.